Hey guys, how's it going? DUJ2 here, and welcome back to Fortnite Save the World, and possibly one of my most long-awaited videos. Oh my, I can't believe we're finally doing this. This is Launchers Part 2. I know that I've been saying for months now that I was going to bring out this video, and for one reason or another I wasn't able to, but here we are. We are here to talk about launchers, and not just talk about them, but we're going to work on them. We're going to use a ton of experience, and we're going to pick and choose which are my favorite launchers and which launchers I'm going to use. Also, which launchers I recommend to you, and all of this is thanks to this little guy back here, or this big guy back here. This is the crazy Jabberwocky, which has kind of come to completely change how I look at launchers, and we're gonna jump into this. So this video is actually going to be, yes, this is Launchers Part 2, but this is gonna be Launchers Part 2 Part A. And in Part A right now, what we're gonna do, like I said, is we're gonna work on them, we're gonna talk about them, we're gonna use a bunch of experience on some of them, and I'm going to explain why my five reasons on why I'm recommending and why I'm using for myself certain launchers, and why I'm not going to use certain other ones. And in Part 2 and Part B of this launcher video, which I promise will be coming out very soon, very soon, we're going to take them into a situation and we're going to test them out. We're going to test them out in a real world situation, possibly in level like 100 missions, and that will also come to show, and I will be able to explain to you guys why I picked certain launchers for certain situations, kind of like a real world, why I feel certain launchers are better than others. And again, this is something very important that I always say. This is for me. This is my personal game style. I use ninjas a lot. My personal game style revolves heavily on being able to heal, evading, etc. I don't really go for the max damage for the crits in a lot of things. I like keeping it different. I like reload. I like speed. I like speed is key. I like all of that in my weapons and in my hero setup. So that's what I'm going to be focusing on. And it may not be the best setup for you. You may use a different type of setup, a different type of gameplay. So I would highly recommend, if you are going to go with that set, take everything with a grain of salt here that I'm going to say. And again, this is my personal favorites, or better yet, the best launchers that I feel are best for me, for my gameplay style. So let's jump into this. As you guys can see over here, I have a row of launchers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 launchers here that I have worked on a little bit, with my Santa's Little Helper being the only item that I have at level 106. And I'm going to explain that in a second, why it's so important that I've left it at 106. And the rest are in 82. Now, since I've been doing a lot more of level 94 and 100 missions, and since I am currently doing Frostnite in level 88, very soon to be level 100s, I kind of feel like I need to level these up. Being level 82 for my launchers no longer is a viable solution for me. It's no longer a real world, or I guess it's no longer smart for my game. I don't get malachite anymore. I don't ever really get any more malachite. I just get obsidian. So that's why I feel it's kind of important for me to finally take the plunge, spend some experience, and work on these weapons. Now, if you guys see down here too, I do have another group of launchers over here which I'm not using. And not to go too in depth, if you guys want to know, I can probably make a video kind of explaining why I'm not really doing this, but I don't really use these. Out of these, the Easter egg launcher, the snowball launcher, and the quad launcher, I feel like would be the 3 that I could work on, but they're not really for me. They're not really the launchers that I want to work with. I've tested them. Some people have let me use 106s and 130s, and for my gameplay style, they're not exactly the best for me. I'll say this right now, the biggest reason why I don't use, and I don't really use the grenade launchers, snowball launcher, the thumpers and all that, is because you have to have some really good aim to make these worthwhile. And as you guys know, my aim is horrible, so I just steer clear of those. Alright, so let's jump into these ones one by one here and kind of explain. Now, in the past, I had 4 favorite launchers. I had the Noble launcher, I had the Dam Buster, I had the Vacuum Tube launcher, and I had the Jackal launcher. Those were my 4 favorite launchers. Now, that was a while ago, and if you guys have watched my gameplay recently, you know that of course the Noble launcher has still continued to be a very, very important launcher for me. The bowler has come to be very, very useful, but unfortunately it runs out very fast. And of course Santa's Little Helper, which has been invaluable when it comes to working on Frostnite events. And in the Frostnite, Santa's Little Helper has kind of been my main weapon, but we have a new contender. We have a new contender for favorite weapon, which is the Jabberwocky. Now, I'm going to break this down into 5 different reasons. 5 different reasons that I put into when I look at a launcher. Okay, this is the launcher I want to work on. The first reason is impact. Believe it or not, impact is the very first thing I look at, because the whole point of using a launcher is to affect an area, a rather large area, and potentially stop any attacks. For example, you've got a group of red eyes, just like 3 or 4 red eyes just standing there. They've got their sights aimed on you. They're gonna blast you away. You're gonna die in like 2 hits. A well-aimed, a well-timed launcher, for example, like a Dam Buster. A Dam Buster with an impact of 12,000 has a high potential of popping them away and basically making them stop attacking you. It'll give you a few very valuable seconds to get away. Equally, if you have you're trying to protect your base and you see a smasher coming towards you, a very high impact launcher will potentially give you that little, it'll knock them back. Now, I do not have the trash cannon. I don't have the trash cannon. I could go ahead and get it from my collection book. In case you don't know, if you go down to the expansions and you go to the expansion schematics, you look at the scavenger weapons, the trash cannon is available for researching. I could research this guy. I may do it, but right now, because of the schematics that we do have, I kind of don't really feel that much of a need to do so, and we'll kind of break it down in a second why. The second thing that I look at when I am going for a launcher is damage. Now, yes, damage is very, very important. Not exactly the DPS, but the damage here. So, for example, right now, as Santa's Little Helper, it's not really fair because it is at a 106. I'm doing over 100,000 damage. We look at my bazooka, it's 49, the bowler 45, the Dam Buster 55, the Jackal launcher 40, the Noble launcher 44, the Jabberwocky 64, which we're going to talk about that in a second, and of course the Vacuum Tube launcher, which is very low, but the reason why I really enjoyed the Vacuum Tube launcher for so long was because it did have those 3 hits, and each of them could stun, and the stun was actually pretty good. Now, I haven't really used it that much anymore, and I really do think that if I were to modify the perks a little more and work on it a little differently, possibly it could come back into play. But for now, again, unfortunately the Vacuum Tube launcher does not have the impact or the damage. Look at that impact. The impact is very, very low. So because of that, it's kind of being put to the side for now. The third reason is use. How am I going to use this weapon? And by this I mean, what situation am I going to use it on? For example, like I said, Santa's Little Helper has been absolutely incredible in Frostnite because of its high impact. You know how Frostnite is. You've got all those enemies, you've got all those waves. Having a really good launcher that's going to have great impact is going to do amazing damage. Then you look at the bowler, the Noble launcher, and the Jabberwocky. Now, the Noble launcher is kind of in a class by itself, and a lot of you guys, if you've been playing for a while, you know that the Noble launcher is one of the favorite weapons to use in encampment missions. Why? Because you set yourself a little back, you load up your launcher, which takes a little bit of time to charge up, and when everything pops up, you throw out the ray. What's it called again? It's a beam, isn't it? A heavy weapon that fires a wave of piercing energy. So it's a wave of piercing energy, and not only will it go very far, but it'll go through anything. It'll go through through walls, it'll go through rock, it'll go through the floor, and that's actually something very important too. If you may have noticed, sometimes you may get a husk stuck inside of the ground or behind a rock or something, and a well aimed noble launcher shot will take it out, which will free you to continue in the encampment mission. So the noble launcher is really in a class by itself. It really is, and there's no other weapon here who is actually going to be able to do what the noble launcher does. Go through walls, go through ground, etc., and you know, be very effective in that sense. The bowler and the Jabberwocky are very close contenders, and when we actually take these weapons into a real world situation, I will show you guys, compare the bowler to the noble launcher, and the Jabberwocky, and take it in a situation like an encampment mission and see how they stack up. It's actually very interesting. And the fourth situation, so we've got the encampment missions, and then you have other situations, for example, like if you've got any other mission where you just have, like I said, you have wave after wave coming towards you. Dam Buster, amazing impact. The Santa's Little Helper, my bazooka, I really enjoy the bazooka. The Jackal launcher just makes it an awesome sound. And then of course you've got like the noble launcher and the bowler and everything. Now the one big negative I would say about any launcher, of course, is going to be if you've been using a lot of traps, if you've been taking out several waves or a lot of those propane tank husks, any of these launchers will trigger it. so if you get to the point where you're like, oh, you know what, I'm just gonna throw launchers, I'm gonna just throw this like crazy at the enemy, be prepared, because if you have a pretty big, you know, if you have trap tunnels or a trap field or something like that, it's very possible that you're just gonna explode everything, and it's possible that your teammates will get a little angry with you if they weren't expecting it. So something to keep in mind, any launcher will trigger, some of them more than others. For like example, the noble launcher is actually one of the best ones because it will have a good, you know, range, but you could still trigger a lot of things. And then the fourth reason that I look at is reload. Now reload, you might think, is not that big of a deal. Actually, I'm not really looking at, and I don't have on my list durability, because durability is just kind of like it's kind of just something that you expect. When you're using launchers, you know that durability is going to be extremely low in all of these. So something that everyone tries to do is we all definitely try to put durability on these. The Jabberwocky being one of the unique weapons that has double durability. So that durability will help the weapon to last a little longer. And when you look at the weapon, actually, you may see that like my Jabberwocky has 15 durability, my Noble Launcher has 30, my Jackal Launcher has 20, the Dam Buster has 20, does it have 20? 15. 15, Santa's Little Helper 15, Bazooka 15, and Bowler 15. With the Vacuum 2 launcher having 45. But all of these, you think, okay, it's one shot, right? 15 shots. If you put some durability on these, it actually will reduce the amount that it takes. So it's always going to be 15. It would be really awesome if it would actually improve that or raise that up. But because of the durability, what's going to happen is that it's going to take less. So it won't take one full shot. It'll take 0.5, 0.6, 0.8, 0.3, whatever you want to call it. So it is possible to make these last considerably more, which is why always go for durability. That's like one of the basic things that you can, anyone who ever uses a launcher will always tell you, definitely put the perks of durability. Durability is king when it comes to launchers, and then you can pick and choose depending what the other ones are. But reload is incredibly important. For example, take a look at this bazooka. This bazooka has double reload speed, and I'm reloading at 1.2. I actually reload so fast that I can't keep up. I can't keep up with the firing because I'm reloading faster than I can fire, which is very difficult to achieve when you have a weapon, when you have one of these. I gotta tell you, if you get a reload of a 1.5, even 1.5 is wonderful. If you have a reload of 1.5, you're good. You're very, very good. If you have a faster reload than that, it's kind of pointless. For example, here in my Santa's Little Helper, I have reload at 50%. I think if I take it one more to epic, it'll get me to 1.5. It'll be perfect. It'll be great. Now you do see some other weapons like the Jabberwocky that has a 3.0 reload. The vacuum tube launcher has a long reload. The Noble launcher has an okay reload, but you also have to think about the charge up time and etc, etc. So, oh wow, look at this. Look at my Dambos. It's got a 3.4 reload. Very, very slow. Definitely want to get, I should change one of those. But maybe not, because we're not going to work on it. But reload I feel is extremely important. Like I said, getting a reload about 1.5 when any launcher is probably the best thing, because if I look here, they all have they all have a fire rate of 0.75, except for my Jabberwocky. No, not my Jabberwocky. My Noble launcher. My Noble launcher has a faster fire rate, but we're going to talk about that in a second. And like I said, we will talk about this, the fire rate in a second, and we're going to focus it on a specific weapon. And the last thing that I want to talk about, the last reason when I look at a launcher and I'm like, I'm going to use that launcher, is the coolness factor. It's how cool that weapon is, how cool it looks. For example, you got the Jackal launcher. You're throwing a giant, I mean, come on, you're throwing a giant pumpkin head at your enemies. A pumpkin head that it's amazing. It's amazing. It's incredibly cool. It's incredibly awesome. You pull that out and you're like, yeah, I got the stuff. Santa's Little Helper, you're throwing a present at people. Bowler, it's amazing because of the functionality you can have with it. It's a lot of fun too, because you can actually angle shots straight up that will land down. So if you find a launcher that you really enjoy, go for it. You know, definitely go for it. That is a huge factor in how you feel with a launcher, how the launcher makes you feel. So let's continue here and let's talk a little bit more about where I'm going to go with this. And I guess I may have to turn this into a 3-part video because I'm probably going to cut this in a second. I'm just, you know, we've just been talking about the 5 reasons why. We're going to end with talking about two weapons that I'm going to level up, and we're going to level them up probably in the next video. Like I said, I promise it will be out very soon, but I do want to go ahead and take my time in properly explaining these weapons because they are amazing and they can make a big difference for you. So we've got the Bowler, the Noble launcher, and the Jabberwocky, which I kind of want to focus on. The reason why I'm not really going to focus on the other weapons is because they pretty much just serve one purpose, which is boom, the explosion. You know, they great impact. And right now, probably the best weapon we have right now is Santa's Little Helper. Santa's Little Helper is an absolutely fantastic weapon. It is absolutely incredible. Out of here, I have kept my Santa's Little Helper physical. I may change that slightly because impact is great at that point, but I do kind of believe that I want to change it a little bit. Oops, no, I don't want to recycle this. I don't want to recycle you, man. I think what I'm going to be doing with my Santa's Little Helper is I might go ahead and change my Santa's Little Helper to either nature or energy, and we'll talk about that later when it comes to it. And this damage to miss monsters and bosses, I might actually just change to damage in general, so I get damage across the board. Love damage to afflicted, but most of the time my Santa's Little Helper is one-shotting everything, so I may go ahead and change this also to damage. So I might be carrying double damage, going this to an energy, and you know, we'll talk about it when we get there. But as you guys can see, durability is way up there. Now the Bowler, the Noble launcher, and the Jabberwocky. When I said at the beginning that the Jabberwocky kind of triggered all this, is because the Jabberwocky is a very unique weapon, and I'm gonna go in the next part of the video. I'll try and release that maybe later today or tomorrow. I'm going to be talking about we're going to be talking about individually these weapons. And spoiler alert right now, I'm going to tell you guys, I'm going to be working on Santa's Little Helper, Jabberwocky, and Noble launcher. Now, my bazooka, my Bowler, my Noble launcher, my Jabberwocky, and my Santa's Little Helper, I'm probably going to take those 5 weapons to 130. For sure 106. And again, too, when we work on them, when we spend experience on them, I'll explain why I'm going to take them to 106. And thank you to Epic Games. We do have the down-tiered construction, the down-tiered, what's that called? Tier down, down-tiered, what's it called again? Let's see. It is called tier crafting. So down tier crafting. So we can down tier craft certain weapons, and because of that, it's okay to take these weapons up to 130. For example, since I'm going to be taking them into Frost Knight, I am possibly going to need 130, so I probably should work on at least 1 or 2 of these weapons to be level 130. But I'm probably just going to be using them personally at 106. Again, I will explain why that's so important in the next video. But the Jabberwocky did come to change a lot of things, because the Jabberwocky is a very unique weapon. The way it shoots out the cannonball, it can bounce up to 3 times and stop. It's got a fuse that goes down. If it touches an enemy, it explodes, sending 3 projectiles, 3 smaller little cannonballs forward, launching them forward. Or if it doesn't touch anyone, if it doesn't affect the husk, it's going to explode out. So 2 of the balls are going to go this way, 1's going to go this way, and they're going to explode again after a second or 2. Very interesting weapon, very interesting weapon. But for example, if you're dealing with waves of enemies, wave after wave of enemies, shooting that shot perfectly and at the front enemy will project the ones in the back, and it'll explode on them. It's almost as good as the Noble Launcher. The Noble Launcher is really still king in that aspect. If you see a wave of enemies coming towards you, a group of husks just coming towards you, a well-aimed wave from the Noble Launcher will take them all out. It will just kind of just zip through them. The problem with the Noble Launcher is its reload time and its fire rate. Basically, it says here, launcher, neon, heavy weapon that fires a wave of piercing energy. Can be fired normally for a narrow half-tile wide pulse, or charged for a 1-tile wide or 1.5-tile wide blast. Deals energy damage, which is fairly effective against all types of enemies. Now, if you see here, it doesn't say how long it takes to charge it, does it? That is part of the fire rate. As you guys can see here, my fire rate is faster than my other weapons. Why is that? Because I put a perk into fire rate, and I don't know if I can do a double fire rate on this one. If I remember correctly, that's something that yes, I can. I can do a double fire. I can do a triple fire rate. We can do a triple fire rate. So reload and fire rate. It's possible that we're going to get a little crazy with this weapon. It's very possible that we're going to get a little crazy with the Noble Launcher, and you guys may actually see me go double reload, double fire rate. Yes, double reload, double fire rate. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. We're going to go crazy. And we're going to really see just what a Noble Launcher focused on that speed can do. If we can charge up that shot faster, as fast as possible, if we can reload it as fast as possible, hopefully it will do amazing for us. So like I said, in the next video, and I do apologize, I didn't expect this video to get so long, so I'm gonna go ahead and keep working on the next one right away, and I will be releasing it as soon as I possibly can. And like I said, spoiler alert, we will be working on the Jabberwocky, the Noble Launcher, the Bowler, the Bazooka, and Santa's Little Helper. Those are my top 5 that I'm going to be working on. I don't know who I'm going to take to 130. I kind of think I'm going to take maybe the Jabberwocky and Santa's Little Helper to 130, or at least, you know what, for sure the Jabberwocky. For sure the Jabberwocky. But those other 5, they're going to go to 106. And we'll be talking about why I'm taking them to 106. We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna work on perks for each one of these in the next video, and then finally in the third part, we're gonna take them out and we're gonna test them out. And I'm finally gonna have level 106 launchers and maybe a level 131. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. I really appreciate all the support you guys give me. I'm sorry it took so long to get working on this series, but here we are pushing. We're gonna work on this. It's gonna be fantastic, guys. Thank you very much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, if you enjoy what I do on my channel, please do me a huge favor. And have yourself a wonderful day. Thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you guys next time. See ya.